Is it crazy or autocracy? Or what type of crazy is that? Except crazy.
News making the headlines.
Black Maria is to carry criminals, child looters that are in government today.
Sometimes it gets confrontational.
Slap you in the face. Excuse me, don't put words into my mouth. Whatever it is that will bring our military to disrepute, I said to hell
on
with it.
Core Digest.
I want to know why I should be believing them.
Every weekday, we bring all of these together and take them to the court of public opinion.
Everybody has a right in Nigeria.
Where you are the judge.
Good to have you join us again. You're still on to Core Digest Extra on Core TV News. And on this segment, we get to talk about gender equality, achievable or not. And so gender equality is clearly a subject that a lot of people get to talk about. But you know, it's important we understand the meaning of when the word gender equality is mentioned. What does it really mean, and what are the implications of gender equality? And so looking at my dictionary, I actually cooked up some meaning of what gender equality means. And simply it says that it is the state in which access to rights and or opportunities is unaffected by gender. And so access to rights and opportunities is unaffected by gender. And so when you say gender equality, it means what a man can have, a woman can also have too. So there is no discrepancy in giving what should be manly and what should be womanly, as the case may be. And now another definition here says gender equality views that both men and women should receive equal treatment and not be discriminated against based on gender. Gender equality is the measurable equal representation of women and men. So in a room, when you have two men, you should also have two women, you know, equal representation. It shouldn't be skewed to one way or the other. And even a board of directors too, you don't have 7 men and 1 lady. You know, that's not equal representation of gender there. And now, speaking of equality, what does equality really mean? It means the state of being equal, especially in status, rights, or opportunities. And so now you want to ask why we're taking a look at gender equality. You know, earlier in the week, something very, very interesting happened, which has actually raised a lot of discussion on social media. And why will the Senate actually squash such a bill? You know, is it because it has to do with women? It is wrong. They are not sensitive to the needs of women. And you know, a lot of discussion has gone on based on the fact that the Gender and Equal Opportunity Bill was squashed at first reading. You know, people didn't expect that to happen, but it happened. And so we want to look at it now holistically. Now, is it even achievable? But you know, something the president of the Senate has said in his wisdom is that, okay, since it was even squashed on Tuesday, you know, you could come up and look at things that would raise why it couldn't be passed and make an amendment, and we can address the reservations and so that the bill could actually be seen again and forget about the rejection he faced on the first reading. And you know, women activists have not taken it lightly, as they're saying clearly that it's clearly not a fair situation where you would squash such an important bill that actually promotes equality, development and advancement of all persons. And this bill also promotes women's freedom of movement, female economic activity, and girls' access to education. And you know what people say about girls' access to education is that when a girl is educated, the nations prosper, you know, and she also builds a family alongside, which is very, very important. And we've also seen adverse effects of nations that do not educate the women folk. And really, we just want to take a look at how beneficial a gender equality bill would be to Nigeria, and really what's up about some men and some sectors of the society not so cool with the fact that men and women need to have equal rights and opportunities to some things. That's what is going to form our discussion today. And still right here with me in the studio is a woman. She was been with us all through the morning. Folashade Olabanji Oba. She's a politician as well, and of course making women the world over very proud of being a woman as well. Good to have you, Folashade Oba. And so, yes, now the issue of gender equality, really, there's a lot of school of thought to this gender equality bill, and at the Senate, some reasons given by members, some lawmakers, Senator Alero and Senator who now, I know Senator and Senator Yerima said that this gender equality bill goes against the culture and the religion of the African society, and even negates the Nigerian constitution that every human being has a right. And so why should you now separate it and give a gender equality bill and the rest? So for you, what do you make of this?
Well,
issue?
for me, I haven't given up on that bill, even though it's the third time it's been rejected. But the Senate president has said, represent it, deal with the issues. We are where we are. We are divided still along cultural, religion, whatever. The senator and Dume, they had talked about the Mijin Agusa issue, which, according to their own cultural beliefs and religion beliefs, is going to give the women too much power to where a lot of them will be in big trouble. So, understandably, they have now said, go and amend that bill. It was sponsored by Senator Biodun Olujimi. That was just the second reading of that. So, obviously, people like us got excited because we're like, why? We're just as much part of nation building. We should be given, we didn't say we're better, we're trying to compete or whatever, but there are certain things also, knowing that if you look at the numbers in Nigeria now, the women are pretty much really more than the men. We should be given fair opportunities, especially when you think about where we are now. We have a lot of catching up to do even. If I were them, I wouldn't even be bothered, because we still have a lot of catching up to do. Women should be encouraged to even, come on board really now and say, come on, we are all part of this nation building. All hands on deck. You guys must, come and play your part. And some of the rules, the laws that we're going to be, is to protect, and if you see the trend on all these abductions, kidnappings, violence, more, because we had said vulnerable Nigerians, but everybody knows that really is the women and the children that are more vulnerable. So we're saying the mindset has to give, the mindset that the women are weaker, lower, whatever, because as you think, so you're going to be. Let's encourage, because on our performance, we're not doing bad. But if you look in that Senate, we didn't stand a chance. We had only 7 senators in the upper chambers, the lower chambers, 7 against 109. The rep were 14 to about 360. So way below even the 30% recommended, and we're like, somebody needs to at least help us here. Therefore, they should have at least debated it, but I want to say we are about change, positive change, and our men, our reps have integrity. They have said it is not over. We haven't given up. Just do a little amendment to now maybe incorporate some of those feelings that were expressed by the other senators and representatives, and definitely it would pass someday. And I'm hoping that will be very soon.
Yeah. A school of thought will say that, such positions by women would really give them so much power. And so it could affect their respect, their disposition to the male counterpart. And so why clearly give them a power that they won't even respect us anymore in the home? And so for you, would you think such a bill would actually have an adverse effect?
I don't think so. But then it is the reality of the Nigeria that we are today, you know. Men are ever more, some, I'm not saying all, we must be careful here, but our orientation based on our cultures, you know, it's like the man is the head of the home, and so the home, the extension of the home, your workplace, whatever, you know. And I mean, people have made all these things into so many things to just be all about them, but it is all about the betterness, the greatness of our great country, Nigeria, as to if women are better educated, you know, obviously it will mean a better Nigeria. You cannot give what you don't have. So if you don't take time to invest in this, I mean, the president of Nigeria had a mother, and that's why he's the president of Nigeria today. I thank God for her, you know, wherever she is. May her soul rest in peace. But it just says that every Nigerian should be given that same equal opportunity, to where you're bringing somebody, you know, and giving them the tutoring, the enabling and support and everything to make them the best Nigerian that they can be.
And you know, and one of the arguments raised by the lawmakers who actually rejected the bill say that this bill is clearly against the Sharia law, which is recognized by the Constitution. And so placing that side by side, how will this bill survive?
It's a little bit tricky. That's why you have so much controversy around it. I had talked earlier about us, you know, still being seriously divided when it comes to the religion, culture, and party lines. So, but where we are today, it should be way beyond it. It should be way beyond it. It's not about PDP, APC, Muslim, Christian, Yoruba, Hausa, Igbo. No, this is humanity. Okay? And nobody is above. You know, so
Okay.
like I said, it will be passed.
Okay. It will be passed.
Yeah, it will be represented, and I know it will be passed someday.
Okay.
Very soon.
Now, speaking of gender equality, really, you know, looking away from the bill and the new introduction by the Senator Olujimi, who saw that, you know, giving women equal opportunity. But, you know, some people will say there's no such thing as equality. Now, take, for example, a man and a lady are going out, and probably they go to an eatery, they finish eating, you know, the lady just expects in her subconscious that the man pays the bill. Or probably in the car, it's just normal that the man that doesn't pay the bill is a no good. And so, is there equality in that line?
Well, that goes back to the orientation, the way we were brought up, the beliefs that the men are meant to pay the bills, they're meant to protect us, they're meant, you know, and so in return, we're meant to just be, you know, but I'm yet to see in both books of lies, and I don't know any other book, I'm talking about the Quran and I'm talking about the Bible. The Bible says we're supposed to be helpmates. We submit only to our husbands, not to every man on the street. We submit, but we must allow our men, they are commanded to love us. So if you really love your women, you love your sister, your, you know, your auntie, your colleague at work, you know, you will not do anything that could harm their total well-being, you know, anything that could thwart their progress. That, you know, so it's very delicate, you know, when you really look at it. But I think we all need to put sentiment aside, get rid of the emotions, and be practical. And know that the women, the men, we are all created on planet Earth, you know, and what is paramount now to each and every one of us is to leave planet Earth better than we met it.
Okay. Now, another school of thought will say men who clearly do not want gender equality are men who are threatened by what a woman can do if she has equal rights and opportunities the same way I have. And so some will say the men are not just they're not just confident in themselves, and that's why they're feeling threatened that a woman will have the same rights.
I'm not about the competition here. I'm about the word that women have more grace, more the grace and personalities and all that, you know, of excellence in them to be able to, you know, make things better. So it's not about us saying we're better than the men. I'm not in that school of thought. I just want them to understand that, you know, with all that we juggle, that we are so well endowed, you know, to be able to do things in so many ways. Yeah, you know, even better.
A lot is really not been said about this issue, but of course would actually give you some time to express what your thoughts are on gender equality, especially seeing it happen in Nigeria and even the world over. You know, even countries abroad actually accommodate this kind of equality, but you know, Nigeria with so different cultures, different background, and even the religious angle. Now, do you think gender equality is achievable in Nigeria? I would like to hear your thoughts. Do stay with us and we'll be right back.
Is it wallcracy or autocracy? Or what type of crazy is that? Except crazy.
News making the headlines.
Black Maria is to carry criminals, treasury looters that are in government today.
Sometimes it gets confrontational.
Slap you in the face. Excuse me, don't put words into my mouth. Whatever it is that will bring our military to disrepute, I said to hell
On
with it.
Core Digest,
I want to know why I should be believing them.
every weekday, we bring all of these together and take them to the court of public opinion,
Everybody have a right in Nigeria.
where you are the judge.
Every day, every hour, and every minute, news break in Nigeria. Things happen so fast, it's most times difficult to track and comprehend them. But that's what we do right here on Digit 360. 2015, would you want to come back again?
It's like asking Jesus Christ if he knew he was going to die, will you want to come back as the savior of the world again?
We do not just help you track the stories, we break them down, explore all the angles, analyze the issues so that you can fully comprehend the stories and use them to make the right decisions.
Thinking of how to send goods to anywhere? Think All-Seal Mail Services. Our courier and logistics is world class. What of your travel needs? All-Seal Travel and Tours can handle everything from ticketing, hotel reservation, and more. All-Seal Mail and All-Seal Travel and Tours, subsidiaries of Orchard Security and Investment Limited, All-Seal. Visit us today.
Is it wallcracy or autocracy? Or what type of crazy is that? Except crazy.
News making the headlines.
Black Maria is to carry criminals, treasury looters that are in government today.
Sometimes it gets confrontational.
Slap you in the face.
Excuse me, don't put words into my mouth. Whatever it is that will bring our military to disrepute, I said to hell
On
with it.
Core Digest,
I want to know why I should be believing them.
every weekday, we bring all of these together and take them to the court of public opinion,
Everybody have a right in Nigeria.
where you are the judge.
Good to have you join us again. You still want to call that just extra on Core TV News. And at this time, it's time to let us know what your comments are on the issue we're looking at today, gender equality, achievable or not. And, you know, even aside from the fact that, you know, we're looking at a bill to be looked at again by the National Assembly to be passed, you know, gender equality as a whole, you know, how easy it is for men to see a woman as equal as they are and coexist with them in society where both of them can make different decisions and, you know, come out to be good and not being looked at, oh, she's just an independent woman, she's stubborn, she's this, and that's why she's doing this? How supportive can both parties be to ensure that the equal rights they have to opportunities are net to actually make the nation and of course the world in general a better place? And so feel free to call the numbers showing on your screen, as we'll be glad to take your calls on what your thoughts are on this issue. Now back to you, Folashade Olabanjioba. The provisions of the bill are quite, for me, I do not see anything harmful there, because the bill said it will promote girls' access to education, freedom for women to participate in any economic activity, and their right to freedom from violence. Their right to freedom from violence, which is just normal, because nobody would like to be a party of violence and the rest. Well, looking at this push for this bill, with what we practice now in society, would you say that girls don't have access to education even at the 21st century?
Well, in some parts of the country, obviously, they don't have as much. Like if you were to talk about the southern as against the northern part, or the eastern part, the eastern part comes automatic, but then that's why I said, there were gray areas that the controversy was based on. But, there are already laws. There's an overlap here. There are already laws in the Constitution now that takes care of some of those things that are also repeated in there. But it was just more detailed, I'd say, and it would at least give some more confidence as to when things happen, like protection for the widows, protection, the widows, the property dividing, inheritance and all that, and so those were areas that some people felt shouldn't even be talked about because their religion takes care of it, their culture takes care of it. But there are some of those culture which needed address, and I'll give you an example. I had a friend from, I think, Edo State or something, and the father had died, and they had shaved her mother's head, birthed the father's corpse, and said she was to sleep in there for a couple of days, threatened her, that the access to her children, was going to be in contention. And can you imagine the trauma for a woman that just lost the husband? And at the end of the day, she ran away with her children, and didn't want to be part of it. She was lucky she got away, as we speak now, she's a medical doctor, my friend in the US. But thank God she had somebody in the family who looked out for her, who felt whatever it is that we're doing was not right, who said, don't worry, walk out on everything, but take your children and run. So there must be laws to protect women like that. A lot of those things don't get to be said. We're quiet and numb on a lot of things. But the being in government, and this is why we have them there, is to be a voice to the voiceless, to cover those things that we take for granted. So, and that's why I am trusting that the Senate President will make good his words. When that bill gets represented, they would allow it. Some things I know would be, but the ones that matter really needs to go.
Yeah, and something you said, which I find very interesting, is the trauma women go through when they lose their husbands.
Yes.
And the equality in this case is now the fact that when the wife dies, those things, the man don't go through all of this shaving of the hair, bathing of the corpse. And so the question is, okay, what's happening there? So is it the fact that the man cannot kill the wife, or is the wife that could kill the husband?
Well, that's something the traditions have to answer. We met it on ground, but our meeting it on ground does not mean that we cannot adjust accordingly, and that's why I said we will get there as a country someday. But I'm I'm glad that it's even been addressed. There was a time that, you know, nobody would have said anything. So the fact that we're having dialogue about it, we're bringing our attentions to it, means that sooner or later it will be taken care of.
Oh, we're really hopeful that will happen. Yeah. And so now on violence now, you know, violence is something that a lot of women pass through, you know. Even while the husband is still alive, they go through a lot of trauma. And some would say it's a man's world. And so that could keep happening as long as you're trying to make your homework. It could beat you to stupor, all he cares, you know, you're supposed to make the homework and the rest. And so how much solution or how much recourse will this bill bring if such was passed into law, especially on violence?
Well, it will just be reassuring to know that when they do decide to talk out, when they do decide to reach out, there will be help for them at the end of the day. It would also, the sensitization would help. And, you know, I mean, talking about that, I mean, I happen to have gone through a little bit of that when growing up, you know. My father, bless him, and my mother, they're both of blessed memory now. And my mother would look at me and say, I'm taking all this because of you. Because if I say I leave, I pack my things, he won't allow me to see you again, you know. And I would cry and I would look at my dad like, you know. And so I'm glad later in life my father realized that that wasn't a way to go. But so many women have lost their lives in that process, and so many, you know. And the thing about it is, children raised in abuse most times obviously tend to be abusive, or they tend to shut down. Mine was initially, I shut down on a lot of things. I was very quiet, and I couldn't look up. You know, you have all those reactions and because of what you have gone through. And I remember working in the States, and even when I would have issues, my boss would be like, "You are so tough. You know, you don't have to be so hard on yourself. I'm here to help you. You can reach out. You can talk to me. You know." And but it took a lot of, you know, breaking down before I could open up. Like, you know what? I need help.
Wow.
So it's all emotional, psychological. There's a lot of effects, and so we must think about our children. You know. And so yes, thank God we are where we are, you know, but our children, our prayers is that they would excel, they would do better than where we are. That's, you know, Nigeria as a country would be a force to be reckoned with globally, you know, as a great country. It's going to be based on the future, our young ones,
the children. Yes, very interesting. You know, it's so good to really hear from you. And interestingly, my male guest is just around, and so it's also good to hear from a man, of course, who some men would say that, you know, gender equality is really something you shouldn't even look at now. So when we take this break, of course, after the break, we'll have a male guest who will be speaking on this topic with me: gender equality, achievable or not. Stay with us.
For topical issues, Nigerians must have something to say.
Arms. We don't need arms for anything. Let them put it into education.
They need to buy another arms now. What are they fighting for? Government should deal with them squarely.
Please help us bring back our guests. No money, no markets. We are dying. Everybody is crying. Nothing.
Any man God support, no man stops.
It's a prophecy I believe he must have received from heaven.
Yes.
The people giving voice to the voiceless.
Are you aware that the death percentage attributed to Lassa fever cases is currently put at 43.2%, a figure considered very high. Lassa fever, an acute viral illness characterized by high fever, muscle aches, mouth ulcers and bleeding in the skin, is harbored by rats and spread to humans via the urine and droppings of rats. To prevent Lassa fever, avoid any exposure with rodents, rats, as well as food and objects contaminated with rat secretions and excretions. Report all suspected cases of Lassa fever immediately to the nearest healthcare institution. Help prevent Lassa fever. This message is from the federal government of Nigeria.
You can now watch Core TV News live from anywhere in the world on our website www.coretvnews.com. Click on Live TV on our website and watch us live.
And welcome to Core TV Primetime Days.
To follow us on Twitter, click on Twitter icon on our website. On Facebook, click on the Facebook and YouTube to see all our previous news production. You can also watch us live on YouTube. Click Core TV, leave a space, then News. Core TV News, a 24-hour news station.